this is extremely, very, you can say the Prime Minister is really giving away his power. The one in charge of law is called the Attorney General. He prosecutes and he's also advisor to the government. He is appointed. So we want to split that. Sometimes people will call out, hey, can you please don't prosecute? Can you please give a lesser punishment?
Because
the public prosecutor is a very powerful person. He can prosecute you. We had the 10-year prime ministership. So we only lost by 2 votes. I don't know why they didn't come or they didn't support. They had their reasons.
Why the MP are allowed to absence any action that we can take on them?
No, I think the best punishment for any MP not performing is through the voters themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes when it comes to election, always will sell all the sweet things. But sometimes as a member, as a rakyat, you have the right to question your MP.
What's your take on right now the court and the judge? Do you think they are independent and fair?
Dreame 为你带来的放工咯部长，全屋清洁只需
Dreame 帮你打扫家里，永不放工。
Wow, today we have a very special guest.
Yeah, our first law minister.
Wow, the minister from the Ministry of Law and Institutional Reform. Let's welcome
Datuk Seri Azalina Osman.
Hello, thank you.
Yes.
Carmen and Lucas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, YB. So our first question, asked on behalf of our audience, what does Minister of Law and Institutional Reform do?
Okay. First of all, it's not a ministry lah.
It's not.
It's under Prime Minister.
It's under Prime Minister's department. Years ago, it was a ministry, but then after that, it was changed to under the Prime Minister's department. Well, I think when you talk about the law minister in Malaysia, it's all mostly about making laws, working with the other ministry, talking about laws, doing research, doing studies. That's one. And we're also in charge of courts, as in physical court, not the judges lah. The judges is judiciary. But when you talk about courts in Malaysia, the building of the courts, old courts, new courts, and then now with technology, you have voice to text. Last time you see a lot of court movies, they write down whatever you say. That takes time. Now you have a technological system. So all that is where I'm also in charge of the courts. And then you talk about insolvency, bankruptcy, talk about legal aid. So there are certain specific legal positioning is I'm in charge. But if you talk about prosecuting people, is the Attorney General.
Yes.
Advisor to the government is the Attorney General. So the law minister is technically very small lah, not very big.
No, the impact you make is very big,
Yeah.
right?
Depends lah.
It's really a tough
So we heard that you have
position.
4 major reforms. What are they?
I think what's important is, first of all, is that last year we managed to have the Parliament Services Act, which means to say that we want the Parliament to be more independent. Why I say independent is because when the federal government pays for everything in the Parliament indirectly have to listen to the government.
Okay.
That's not right, because Parliament is supposed to be an independent institution whereby you have members of Parliament and senators who are representing the people through their political parties. So you cannot be from one political party when you are in Parliament, you are controlled by government, vis-a-vis control done by monetary reasons. For example, expenses, spending, travelling, renovate, a lot of things. So the government, or the Madani government, wanted the Parliament to be more independent. So we have the Parliament Services Act. So this is where in Malaysia years ago we have the same, whereby the Parliament will decide on their own manpower, decide on their salary, decide on a lot of things that the Parliament is supposed to do. So indirectly, we're bringing that back, so that with the Parliament Services Act, we want the Parliament to be, the deeming effect is independent. But like years ago, I gave you an example. One of the speaker for Parliament, the upper house speaker, he wanted to build a toilet, renovate toilet in his office. He cannot do that. Because the Ministry of Finance say, there's not enough budget.
Alright, okay.
And then even if he can do it, he has to wait a long time. So he's upset. But you look at Canada or in United Kingdom and in Australia, the Parliament is independent. So they have their own fixed budget and then they decide whatever they want. Because if everything you want to do, you have, like you for example, if you have a boss, you have to go vacation, you ask for permission. You want bonus, you ask for permission. All that, definitely, indirectly, the boss is controlling you, right? Even though your boss say, no, you can do whatever you want.
Alright, sure.
But because somebody who pays everything for you, your salary, your vacation, your bonuses, that's why you call them the boss. Correct. So it's the same thing. You want the parliament to be independent.
So since the enactment of that law, do you see the efficiency of parliament
No,
improve?
it takes time to do the parliament really independent because first of all, the government officers working in parliament today are all government officers.
Still. Okay.
So you have to make them to have their own system, their own services, so that they can decide on their own promotion and they're not being monitored or controlled. And also when you look at parliament has the ability to call in government ministries or government officers to explain. So if your superior comes to parliament, of course, as a subordinate, you feel very uncomfortable.
Alright, sure.
So you may make things more difficult. So by having it independent, you separate the government people who are also government, but they have their own services. So that's basically how we want to do it.
So what kind of impact will it be to the people? Like,
Well, it will be, the perception is that it's really independent. Same thing like for you, right?
perception.
Like when I give you an analogy about you working and you kowtowing to your boss.
okay.
And then you have someone who works below you, your subordinate. Indirectly, there's a control because he's the boss, he controls everything.
Understood.
So if you have, for example, like when you employ people like part-timers or full-timers, the full-timers have to be obligated to the boss because the boss pay. But the part-timers can come and can go. So basically what we want is for the parliament to have their own services. So they're not obligated to the government, the bosses coming down. Because see, when you talk about parliament, it's not just about politicians being in parliament. It's also about the parliament being able to question a lot of decisions by government. Because when you talk about separation of power, the executive is the government. They make decisions, they spend money, they develop the area, whatever. But you want them to be accountable, so you go to parliament. So when you want the politicians to be accountable, because you're spending the public's money, you're not spending your own money. So when you pay tax or you pay anything to the government, you want the government to be accountable so that every money you spend, you have a reason for it. So that's why the parliament's job is also to question the government. Why do you do this? How much you spend for it? This is all the taxpayers' money. So that's why you want an independent parliament.
I think this is a challenging part of the Minister of Law because like if Minister of Finance give off money, then people will feel it directly. But when we talk about reform, people will like, what does it do?
Yeah.
How is it related to me? So,
I think the best analogy I can give is sometimes it's like, you know, like for example, like you walk out, you being a woman, you walk out, you can drive your car.
Yes.
You drive your car, you go somewhere. You have the freedom. You can buy whatever car, you can park your car, you can go out at night, you can buy Starbucks, you want to buy anything you can because nobody is going to stop you. But if you have a law or the government that say, you cannot, you woman, you cannot come out at 5 p.m. After 5 p.m. you cannot come out. You cannot drive the car. You must have a man driving the car for you, like in some Middle East countries. Of course, you're not happy, right? I'm like, this is my freedom. Why are you stopping my freedom? So this is exactly why the law is very important in our country because it gives you that protection. You have your freedom. Like for example, you have the right as a woman not to be discriminated on your salary. You must get the same salary like him. Why must he get more than you just because he's a man? So we have the law like that, number one. For example, like your bosses will harass you, sexual harassment. We have the law that stop you from harassing. So that's why the law is very important. If you don't have the law, what happens is that you don't know what you can and cannot do. That's why the law minister or doing in charge of laws, people don't see it, but you will feel it. You feel it more than you see it.
True.
Makes
we
sense,
we are like a fish in the water.
Yeah.
You cannot feel that.
So let's dive in the policies that you are going to table soon, I guess.
Yeah.
By the time that it's airing, I think it's hopefully already been tabled.
We hope so.
Okay.
But of course, the most important one is the Attorney General and Public Prosecutors.
Yes, this is the one that I think
Where
the
when we
Malaysian
started this government, the Madani government, that was the first initiative. So we travel, we have the select committee, we went to many countries that have the separation. And we learn from them and we get the best strategy for our country. So what we want is for the members of parliament to support this because it's a constitutional amendment. One of the problems we have in our country is that this government is not majority government. It's a joint government.
Yeah.
It's a joint venture government. Like joint venture.
Joint venture.
So when it's a joint venture government, you don't have enough numbers. Constitutional amendment needs 2/3 which is 147. So what happens is that you have to beg people for number Can you give me? Can you give me? Can you give me the vote? So if you remember the last parliamentary session, we had the 10-year prime ministership.
PM term
We want the PM term limit to be just 10 years because we believe, why must you be prime minister forever? So many people you can develop. So we only lost by 2 votes. Because I don't know why they didn't come or they didn't support. They had their reasons.
Is it your job to control
ask them
them?
to
No, of course, the in parliament they have the whip lah. The whip is usually the
party
deputy
whip.
prime minister will call and say, "You must come, you must
We
come."
need to call everyone.
Yeah, they must call and come.
Okay.
But the opposition didn't support the 10-year period.
Ah.
But the Attorney General separation here, I'm told, the opposition support. And they support because I think everyone in this country wants the prosecution by the Attorney General, by the public prosecutor, to be really independent. And this is what we're doing. Because before in this country now, the one in charge of law is called the Attorney General. He prosecutes and he's also advisor to the government. So what we want to do is that
appointed by the PM.
He's
right?
appointed
Yeah.
PM. So we want to split that so that whoever is appointed by PM as Attorney General is the advisor for the Prime Minister. But whoever is the prosecutor must be independent. If the Prime Minister appoint you, of course you have to listen to him. Same, I mean, impliedly.
same
lah.
theory,
True.
So that's why you want it to be separated so that the Prime Minister is not involved in appointing you. So as a public prosecutor, it's very important for you to prosecute people. And prosecuting people, sometimes people will call out, hey, can you please don't prosecute? Can you please give a lesser punishment? A lot of things people demand.
Oh.
Because people want to negotiate. I mean, everywhere in the world is the same.
It's true. It's true.
Because the public prosecutor is a very powerful person.
Ah.
He can prosecute you. So because of that, people want to see the prosecutor to be independent. That is the expectation. Whether you're really independent or not, we don't know. But if the structure to put you there is an independent structure, the percentage of you being independent is higher.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I also cannot tell you how you feel inside your heart or how you do your job. I cannot. But if your boss, for example, have a structure, come in at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, go back at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, go out for lunch at 1 hour, why you have all that regulation? Because you want people to behave. Because you're working in an environment. So the same thing when you have the public prosecutor, before when the Prime Minister will appoint the Attorney General, who's also advisor government and prosecutor, we don't know what happened. Because he's not accountable in Parliament. Remember I mentioned earlier? Government pay him money, but he doesn't come to Parliament. If assuming the Attorney General is the Minister of Law, say for example, the Attorney General today is also in charge of law like me.
Oh, he can appear like this.
Can go to
okay.
Parliament. Of course, you can ask him, hey, why you do this, why you do that, why you didn't do this. Can. But now the Attorney General is outside Parliament. He never come in. I answer on his behalf. Sometimes when I answer, I cannot give full answer because I don't know what he do. Whatever answer he give me, A, B, C, I can read. But what happens behind E, F, G, H, I don't know. So I cannot answer. So what we want now is that if the Prime Minister in the future decides the Attorney General to be the Minister for Law and come to Parliament, why not? Better for people, especially when you want to advise the government on certain things.
True.
But when you are a prosecutor, and you prosecute people, you are expected to be independent.
Then who appoint the
So
prosecutor?
now with the constitutional amendment is that the Judicial Legal Service will have the name and the name will be given to the king. But before the name goes give to the king, the name will be given to Parliament. So Parliament can debate the names.
Oh, okay.
That's very important because if you put in 10 people and it's disclosed to public who is these 10 people, the parliamentarian can debate in Parliament or they have a select committee to talk about it. Of course, people are more worried because the 10 names like you're worried lah that everybody know maybe or you did something, you had accident, you never pay your fine, or maybe you marry so many times, you're bad character. So maybe your work-wise you're very good, but your
the personal
character.
life,
So you don't want people to question. But now we're allowing Parliament to question that.
Ah,
So when you do
wow.
that, what happens is that people get very nervous. So people who really want the job must know they must come in very clean, very transparent, and they are
Yeah.
someone that you know you cannot take advantage of. You cannot bully, you cannot blackmail. So that's why the Parliament will have a say to decide and debate. But then the name said, for example, 10 names given to Parliament. Parliament like 3 names, don't like 7 names. Just Parliament's opinion is okay. But the 10 names will be given to the King. So the King must use his discretion who he wants.
So Parliament doesn't have the veto
Parliament
power.
cannot force the King what to decide. But by having the Parliament's participation and the public knows, the King being human will also be reading the news or go to your podcast or watch
have more pleasure.
anything on YouTube or application. He may say, hey, yeah, he never know. Because maybe in front of the King, they all look very nice. But personal issue, they don't know. But the Parliament will discuss the personal issue. Oh, you last time you sexually harassed your secretary. I'm found innocent. So these are the things. So that's what we want now, which is whereby this is extremely very... you can say the Prime Minister is really giving away his power. Because the Prime Minister wants an independent prosecutor, which means to say the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister today, Anwar Ibrahim, is really one man who walks the talk. He wants to see the country change to the better. Same thing like the 10 years. How many Prime Minister willing to say, I only want to be Prime Minister for 10 years? Everybody wants to be powerful, to be in power forever, right?
Yeah,
But
true.
he's willing to give his position. He said, no, I only become 10 years.
He's retiring.
So that's why for us in my party as UMNO Barisan Nasional, we're part of the coalition government with Pakatan Harapan. These are all things that we have already committed in our manifesto of the last election,
true.
the 15th January election. And I think PH also have the same manifesto. Everybody wants the country to be better. So now we have this platform to do better, and we're doing the constitutional amendment for the AGPP. I think every public out there must pressure the MP to support. Support this.
Tag
This
your
is for the
MP,
government.
okay?
This is for the country. Not for the Prime Minister or for me. It's for the country. This is good for the country.
But right now, the opposition also want to.
So far, they say yes. But even in Singapore, the Prime Minister is still appointing the Attorney General in Singapore. Most countries, the PM will always appoint because they want that man to be his man.
Yeah,
But
true.
now our Prime Minister agree. The advisor for the government, the PM can appoint. The Attorney General was one post. There's another guy who's a prosecutor, totally independent. So if he's independent, he also can prosecute the Prime Minister. He can prosecute the Minister because he's independent.
Yeah.
And that is good for the country, and people are very, very happy because, yes, I know now my country. And one thing about reform like this,
Alright.
investors will be happy. Because of course, when you come to a country, okay, I give you an example. If you open a business in Indonesia or Thailand or Singapore and Malaysia, which country you're more comfortable to open business?
Singapore.
To be fair, because you know the court is very strict. Then you have to, for example,
yeah.
no hanky-panky, no nothing, counting behind, they don't have. So you're comfortable as a business person to invest in Singapore. And assuming if somebody cheat you, you know you can go to court and claim for your rights. So you said Singapore. So it's the same thing for Malaysia. You want people to come to Malaysia and know if I'm an investor, if anything happens to my investment, I can go to court.
Alright.
I can make police report. Nobody's going to throw away the report. But in some other countries in the world, people may not be comfortable to invest. Let's talk about what Cambodia or now Vietnam is going up quite well.
Yeah.
So these are the things that give an image to the country.
Yeah, just now we mentioned that this act will reduce PM power, but from what we heard, then it will give the power to the king. Does it increase the king's power?
No, I think the king's discretion is just based on the name that is there.
Alright.
Okay.
So the king cannot take 11, 12, 13 name outside.
Okay.
So
okay.
in the law we make, the king use his discretion out of the 10, among the 10 who he want. But then of course Parliament will also discuss and debate about the 10 names.
All right.
I don't think so. Any king who wants to appoint A, even though he has this discretion, if the public is not happy with A. That's why it's very important to have the system that allows transparency. So by having this law, you're allowing the transparency because you're right. Because sometimes what happens in closed door, people don't know. Out of the 10 names, okay. If just the names given to the king, there's no participation in Parliament, maybe your statement is something to consider lah. That out of the 10 may take the worst because that's my friend. But what we're saying now is that the public has a say through the 10 names first. So Parliament will talk about it. There'll be a debate. And if you still appoint someone that the Parliament or say everybody say this is not a good person, then you have to be accountable for that lah. I'm not worried because I always believe absolute power will corrupt absolutely. So sometimes you must have structure to limit the power. You have a discussion, but within what space?
Understand. Check and balance. lah.
Check and balance. Yeah.
And just now we heard that then we need to gather all the MP forces.
I
to
think
push
so. The MP
views.
must, whether opposition or government.
I think all the audience will have one genuine question: why the MP are allowed to absence
Why they-
any action that we can take on them?
No, I think the best punishment for any MP not performing is through the voters themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes when it comes to election, always will sell all the sweet things. But sometimes as a member, as a rakyat, you have the right to question your MP. You know the MP's office. Hey, how come you didn't go? Why you didn't debate? Because sometimes I think in our country, what you can see is a very aggressive role by civil society. The NGOs, the CSO, they play a very important role. And our media is also very, very open for certain opinions. So when you have full disclosure, media has a say, NGO, CSO also has an opinion. It makes the people who are politicians will think carefully that, I cannot simply cincai my role and my job as an MP. So that's why the public, we cannot stop the freedom of expression of the rakyat to have a say, the media, the NGOs. So it's something we must maintain in our country. And I'm very happy to say in this government today, we don't stop people from criticizing. Anyone can criticize. It's a free country.
Is it?
We're not going to arrest you. Yeah, you can criticize.
There are some few cases.
No, you cannot be racist. If you're racist, people can sue you for that.
Alright.
But if you want to criticize the system, it's your call. It's your prerogative to criticize.
If the facts were true.
You have to have the facts have to be accurate, of course.
Speaking about criticisms, we have heard some criticism that actually the separation of power of AG and PP is just about the political view. But it takes so long to enact. Is it because the Madani government actually lack of the political view? You say you already, from the very beginning of the formation of government, we already start working on it. Then what take it so long? It take few years, now only be pushed. And also the next GE seems to be very near. Will it be a risk that then the next GE come and then we're unable to table the bills and all the effort go into nothing?
Let me just be clear here.
All right.
If the next government come in, whatever law we make, the government can change the law.
Yeah.
For example, like the 10-year period, Prime Minister, our government, Madani say we want all Prime Minister to be only 10 years. The next government, if it's not Madani government or another government, will say, no, we want to amend constitution and throw that. They can. Same thing like the AGPP, we're doing the split. And the next government want to change all that, also can.
Okay.
You cannot stop any government because it's their prerogative. Because in our constitution, you have the freedom to amend the law according to the numbers you have in parliament. But what's important, what's interesting is when you say why it takes a long time is because we have to keep negotiating. For example, even now, if you remember the last parliamentary session, we already have the version of the AGPP. The NGOs and CSOs were very unhappy with that version. So that's why we call for a select committee whereby the opposition representative and the government rep sit down and negotiate and discuss. And this particular amendment today that is on the table of the MPs are all the amendment agreed by both parties of opposition and government. Because we listen to what the NGO and the CSO is telling us. Because from our perspective, we think it's good enough. But they say, no, we want to be more clear. We want it to be more clearer. We want it to really guarantee the transparency, the accountability. So we amended it. So that's why I believe, right, this is not just the Madani government amendment or bill. You know? This is where the NGOs and the CSOs and the rakyat is involved because people want to see the separation. And if we lose this opportunity, then you cannot blame the government. You cannot blame me as member parliament for Pengerang, for UMNO, Barisan Nasional, because I already make it happen on the table. But the MPs must vote for it and support it. So that's why, if assuming the government today don't want to do it, then you can say the government is delaying. But the government is already doing it, put it on the table. We really want to see a separation. And what is good is that the Attorney General's chambers themselves wants the separation. Yeah, because when they come to the meeting, they're very positive because they believe that this is good for the country.
I see.
Which is good. And I think also, when you are a prosecutor, see what happens in the Attorney General's chambers is that if you're working as a lawyer for the government, today you're advisor for the government, then you're a prosecutor for the government, then you will become, for example, in any other position, legal aid, insolvency, so many posts you take, and then you rotate for experience. But sometimes they believe specialization is good. Say, for example, if you are a prosecutor, you want to specialize as a prosecutor, then you should specialize. Not necessarily everyone like to be prosecuting. Some people don't mind the work of advisor. Like, for example, if you practice law outside, you can specialize as a litigator or a corporate lawyer. I'm a litigator since I started as I got called to the bar in 1990. I'm a litigator all the way. I go to court. I enjoy. But I don't like to sit down, look at documents, sign, check, contract. I feel like you can ask your bosses, your producer. Whether they like it, they don't like. I don't like to sit down and look at talk. I like to go court and fight all the time. So that's litigation. So it's the same thing maybe for the government. After this AGPP, it's high time for the government lawyers to split themselves for specialization. Like in any big organization, if you don't specialize, you may not have the skill to make your job a better job. So this is the future that we're looking at.
Yeah. Can I ask one question? Maybe is not your job lah. What's your take on right now the court and the judge? Do you think they are independent and fair?
I think in our country, our system is that our judges are deemed to be independent. It's the deeming. So, but if we feel that the judge is biased, we have every right to complain about it. But to expect, I always, in any position of government or anyone who is in a position to make strong decision, you cannot deny sometimes there's an element of biasness. It's a human factor. For example, if you look at in US, you look at the Supreme Court. The judges there are supposed to be majority pro-Trump, President Trump. But some of the decision lately is against President Trump. Of course, he's upset because he said the judges are supposed to be his supporters. So it's not easy to do that kind of decision, especially if it's against the government. And a lot of people assume that, well, if you fight the government, you can not win because maybe the court is biased or But then again, when I said to you earlier that when the laws of a country is independent and transparent and there's a process of accountability, the confidence of the public gives that particular structure, that kind of strengthening. If the judges in our country are biased, who wants to go to the court in Malaysia? People definitely, as I mentioned to you, the example of a country, you're not comfortable. You feel like, ayo, susah wan, syuk kalah wan. So susah lah like that.
True.
So that's why the court themselves, being independent, have a duty to make sure that they are professional. And I think if you're not sure, the judges are not allowed to go to the mamak store.
Yeah, we know about
The
them.
judges cannot be going shopping or cannot.
Yeah.
They're very strict. If you catch them like that, you can take picture and send their boss. The bosses will take action, say, how can you go to mamak shop? Because you're a judge. You don't know who can influence you along the way, right?
So
They can only stay at home.
Supposedly lah. Because it's not an easy job, to
it's
be a
a
judge. You have to sit
Yeah.
down,
No
read,
freedom.
right?
Yeah.
About this.
No
That's why a
freedom.
lot of people don't want to be judge. Like your boss also don't want to be a lawyer, so they have their reason.
搬到新家之后，我才发现最累的不是搬家本身，而是之后每一天都要打扫啊。不过好彩，幸好我最近发现了2个帮我节省超多时间的清洁神器。如果你和我一样，平时都特别忙，而且家里还有毛小孩的话，那我特别推荐你这一台 Dreame X60 Ultra Robot Vacuum。
它最厉害的就是阅账系统，最高可跨越8.8 cm 双层台阶，再也不用担心会卡在门槛，它自己就能完成清洁。还有这个可升降雷达，让机身可以变得更薄，床底、沙发底都能轻松进出。搭配热感拖布系统，面对顽固的污渍，清洁力也更加的到位。配合超强的 Romax 吸力，不管是边角、缝隙还是毛发，都能一次吸干净。
如果你家里有小朋友，或者是厨房餐桌附近很容易肮脏的话，那我推荐你这一台 Dreame X60 Pro Tripod。
它呢可以直接用200度的蒸汽热水来洗地，面对油垢、饮料、脚印，洗得比一般的冷水更干净。
配合泡沫深层清洁，它可以更有效的瓦解污垢。
清洁完放回去呢，就会启动200度高温蒸汽自清洁，滚刷自动清洗、自动烘干，再也不用徒手刷滚刷。
一台负责维持全屋的清洁，另一台则负责重污区域的深度清洁。有了 Dreame， 打扫真的很轻松。
We have 2 more reform to be discussed.
Yes.
There's the Act of the Freedom of Information.
And,
What is it about?
FOI is that we want to allow the public to have. I always give the example that the accident at the traffic light. You ask for, say you go to the local council, hey, can you tell me your traffic light? Give me the picture. Sometimes they may have the camera. So that you have information, you want to sue whoever.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes government agency or even local council say, I cannot give you the information. What? Official Secret Act, OSA. So I cannot tell you. That is wrong. Or for example, you have someone who goes to government hospital and then die for the operation. And then you want the file to read what happened so that you can decide to sue. Cannot. Official Secret Act. So they use this statement to deny you that information, which is wrong because as rakyat, as I mentioned earlier, you have every right to that information. Except if it's top secret or is it for security reason you may not have. Fair. But by right, you must be able to have the information. So that's why the freedom of information is something that the government wants the rakyat to feel comfortable and safe that, look, you're entitled for information.
We have some friends as a government servant, and when we talk with them or interview with them, they will always say that, we have this code etica that we cannot disclose much. So with the FOI Act, help them through
There
this?
is a process lah, because the head of the department will have to decide whether they can give you the information or not. But it's better than not have a process to ask for the information.
Okay.
On the assumption that, I cannot ask you, you cannot ask me because I cannot tell you. That's very bad. You must allow a process that I want to write in to say this is the information I want. Which is also good, so that everybody who does the job, whoever works for the government, must be very careful, because the public also want to know what you're doing. You go to work and then in the morning, and then you disappear, and then you come back in the evening, you go minum teh tarik whole day, and then a lot of work cannot be done because you're not doing the job properly, you're not doing the job within time. So people want to ask, what happened that day? Did you go to work or not? So if people ask that information, you must disclose. So that's what freedom of information is all about. But it's a process you have to apply.
Do you need 2/3 of parliament
simple
seats?
majority.
Simple majority.
I hope I can bring it maybe at the next parliamentary session. The other one is, which I think is also important.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to be afraid of to disclose information if you're not hiding anything. Correct?
People say the government sometimes we need to keep some
But if you ask a question to the defense ministry, how many airplane you have, how many jet you have, how many firearms you have, I think that's fair question. Who wants to tell? Because it's war, it's defense. But simple everyday thing like local council, like hospital, you have every right.
Yeah,
You enter hospital, you want to know, like your family member die, why he or she die. You want to check the medical record, how many times the doctor go and see, did the doctor prescribe the right medicine, So you take public's money to work for government, you must be responsible to tell people that when people pay you money, you have to do a good job about it. You cannot think that you can simply do whatever you want to do just because you are government. Mana boleh.
So can you give us like a picture that what kind of information will be categorized under?
I think it's anything.
Anything.
Except, but then the head of department can reject if your question or the information you ask is top secret or very difficult to answer.
The last one, the establishment of a Malaysia ombudsman. What is an ombudsman?
Ombudsman is like a body lah, like a government body that you can complain about government agency lah.
Right now we don't have any.
No, now you go in department by department and complain. So if you go to one department and complain, the head of department will cover up his stuff. Because if you complain, he looks so bad.
Yeah.
So the ombudsman is whereby you can lodge complaints regarding government inefficiency and poor service. So public sometimes dissatisfied. Say for example, you go to counter, you wait 8 hours, 9 hours, nobody serve you. You want to complain now. What is this?
Okay.
That's why it's ombudsman. Because if you complain to the ketua jabatan in charge of the counter, the bugger will never layan you lah. Because the guy will say,
this is my KPI.
this is my KPI lah. But if you
stuff.
go ombudsman, you can complain. But of course, the whole objective is to improve the government administration and efficiency. Right. Especially counter. When you go to counter, local council, pejabat tanah, whatever counter, you want people to serve you. But then, sometimes when you go, you wait and wait. They say, wait, you wait. 7-8 hours. I think a lot of people complain. For example, I know lah, people complain when they go to government hospital, the queue is very long. They are not happy, they wait. But then, sometimes it's like so many people. That one understandable, like hospital, especially government hospital. But counter, and then suddenly, you go to the counter, the whole place is empty. You go there, say for example, nobody is there. Why?
Actually, we have some experience dealing with the government department to apply for some license and stuff. I think the waiting time at counter is still fine. What is very troublesome is the bureaucracy. So when you go to one department, they ask you to go to another one. You go to
also can
another
complain
one.
like this.
But I think with the ombudsman, you can complain for government efficiency. I mean, it's your prerogative.
We complain the agency or the person in counter.
You can complain anyone.
Oh.
And then the ombudsman will go and
then they will investigate.
monitor.
But one of the problem is that sometimes people are afraid to complain because they believe that government can do no wrong. And sometimes people scared like, if I complain after they will.
Then they don't want to give me
Go
my
after
license.
me.
How?
So people just keep quiet. So sometimes it has to be genuine complaint lah.
True.
So
Is
I
it
think,
anonymous? Like if I'm going to lodge the
no,
complaint?
you have to register.
Then
But
I don't dare.
I think depends so much. That's why for this country or this government, these are all reform things that you want to do. This is reform agenda. It's you're doing things differently. And you never imagine in our country we can do this thing differently.
Yes, true.
But this is a start to make the country a better country. That's why the Prime Minister talks about corruption. Before every department corruption, everybody wants money, duit kopi. Now you cannot because you are entitled to complain. And if you're working and you know there's an ombudsman, there's an FOI, of course you will work and behave yourself because you know you cannot be making mistakes. So basically the flip side of it is what you're doing now is to make sure to control the situation that you know is out there. I mentioned to you about the sexual harassment. We have a tribunal for sexual harassment. So what we do is that if you're a woman and you feel you're being harassed in your working environment, you go to the tribunal, they can hear the case fast. You will be very scared to misbehave because if you go to court, it sure take a long time. Same thing, if you remember, recently I launched the tribunal, the bully tribunal under the Bully Act. Because we know in schools there's a lot of bully is happening. But if you wait for the school, go to the Balai police, people will wait for such a long time. And then sometimes when you're connected, the police don't want to take your report. That's the complaint we get. With the tribunal, which can even report online, immediately the case will be heard. We will investigate, hey, why you bully and all that. And then on top of that, the punishment is that we don't ask you to go to jail, but we ask you to punish them, whether you pay punishment, financial punishment, or you do some service lah. So these are things that we're trying to change the country.
That's good. That's really good.
So the same thing with FOI and Ombudsman. You're trying to change the way things are being done. The mentality working for government and the expectation of the public. It's a good start.
Wow, really a lot of improvement.
Very aspiring.
I'm going to cry right now.
Yeah.
I
There's a
didn't
lot of
imagine
good
that.
things. So
we
now,
didn't know actually.
That's why.
Tribunal of bully. I didn't hear
That's
about
why
it
sometimes
before.
for the public must, as you say, like you go on online news and all that, you have to keep up because you have to protect yourself. So I think today, if you go for the technology, the Google, Claude or ChatGPT, so many information you can get.
Yeah, true.
So the public should not be worried because if the country is transparent, the country is accountable, the country is responsible, the one that benefit is the public.
Yeah, it's getting
We
better.
really hope you can pass the bill, IB.
It's the four major bill you will table.
Yeah, I hope so.
Can I ask what kind of bill you have done before that? Maybe you
I've
can
done a
tell
lot.
us. Yeah.
Okay, let me read
So
that.
let us cry more. Maybe feel
I
the
think,
improvement.
we
I
have
think
done a lot.
the foreign mother.
That one, the
they're giving
citizenship,
birth.
all is more of the minister in charge of
Saifuddin
Saifuddin.
department.
How about the Procurement Act?
that one, more the minister in charge of finance. Like for me, I do like Sexual Offences Act against Children, State Immunity Act, the amendment to the Penal Code, cyberbully, financial scam, online safety, public defense. So many things we've done. Yeah, just Google us.
No wonder lah. No, so many YB compliment you. I just saw
thank you,
one
thank you.
Saisadic post about you.
Oh yeah.
We wanted
I always believe that whatever position you are in, myself, it's all temporary. Because God put you there for a reason, right? So do a good job about it. So that you will never regret that you didn't try your best, right?
We really wanted to interview you because you're a very respected minister, like
Yeah.
across all the political divide. Like Sasade from PH, Hannah Yeoh, and all told us that you're very hardworking.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
yeah.
Even DAP,
Even though I'm in
also
a
like
Malay
you.
party,
Yes.
UMNO, I think our country is a multiracial country. That's why we are part of Barisan Nasional.
Yeah.
We have MIC,
True,
we have MCA. So these are things that we have. So as our country, we should be more united and more respectful. So that's why I always believe that our younger generation must be active. Awareness, maybe CSO, NGO. Our NGOs are all doing a good job, talking a lot of good things for the country. And we want to be better. So we hope with all this reform agenda, so when we face for election, we will tell the rakyat that, look, this is the best. This is what we try. And we hope the rakyat will continue to support.
True.
That's my hope lah.
So as a female, I feel connected. I love
Thank
to see
you.
your parliament debate.
Yeah.
like,
True.
like all
Yeah.
kind of,
We should not be afraid of change. Because the change is for better. And sometimes I think that a lot of our society, like the MPs, members of parliament, we have a portion that's very old. We have a portion that's very young. So, you want them to see the change. Like before, we don't have handphones so small, right? The big Nokia phone. Right? Before you look at the computer also big. Now everything is getting smaller and then every news is getting faster. So the world is changing. So the country must also change. So that is why I think now people never imagine that you can buy food from Grab and
Yes.
Food Panda, right? Now people just call. Last time you have to drive the car, find a shop and eat. Now you call, the food will come. And then that's why the country is also looking at the gig economy, trying to give them a better protection because they are also doing service for us. So what I'm saying is that if the country is progressing for change, we as rakyat must also accept that this change is good for the country. We should not stop the change. So if the government is doing all this, I think the MP should say, look, yeah, we should split the AG. We should be more confident of a FOI and an ombudsman. What is there to hide if you're doing a good job? That's my belief.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So I got to go off.
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
inspiring. Yeah.
Don't forget to like and share our video and tag your YB.
MP, tag your MP. 再次感谢 Dreame， 记得使用我们的优惠码把 Dreame 带回家啦。
Dreame 帮你打扫家里，永不放工。